They said you were the best in the Parsec.
Welcome to Parsec Passion, a podcast about Disney Plus Star Wars TV shows. Now we're talking about the brand new episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Part 4. My name's Bubba, and with me as always is the Jedi plumber who couldn't fix a leak. It's Catfish. Catfish, how are you doing?
I'm super excited. It's always a pleasure to be joined by a guy whose master plan, like Reva's, is inscrutable. It cannot be scruted.
There will be no scrooting.
This week's episode, I'm going to give credit to one of our listeners. We're giving these episodes titles. They deserve titles, and this week's title is How Obi-Wan Got His Groove Back. That's thanks to Laura McMillian, Miso Cat. I couldn't come up with anything, and why would I even try? Our listeners are the best.
They are the best. Our Double M musical expert, Matt Murdick, pitched his own title. I hope you appreciate how I didn't say the Double M at first there.
Yeah, I did. I like how you got there.
He pitched Part 4 as having the title Oceans Are Heavy.
Oh, and that is why our loyal listener, Laura McMillian, is the best.
Catfish, what is your rating for Part 4, How Obi-Wan Got His Groove Back?
I'm going to give this what I like to call 7 double S's.
Wait, double S's?
Yeah, swimming stormtroopers. That's, when stormtroopers get fully loaded up just so that they can take a dip in the tank. Boom. They're probably just as good as swimmers as they are shooters. It doesn't matter.
7 out of 10. That's a bit down. We were so high on Part 3. 7 out of 10.
I mean, I think it's inevitable. They kind of built up to like literally a mid-season excitement, and then things are kind of amped down a little bit. I mean, we did have Obi-Wan get his groove back, but other than that, things really haven't changed to our Double P.
Double P?
Yeah, Triple P.
Triple P.
Pouty, precocious princess.
Oh, yeah.
She's still in danger, but cracking wise. Again, this was a short episode, Bubba. That gave me lots of time to think about it. And I'm not sure whether Reva's actual plan makes sense in hindsight. I feel like that she might have indeed followed the way of George Lucas, and she may have done a little retconning of her plan. This was my master plan all along. To end up running away again, escape twice. That was my plan. Because once no one would. Once no. They wouldn't think she's away. But twice, oh yeah. Bubba, forget what I have to say, even though my rating is correct. What was your rating?
Well, Catfish, we have been very similar in our ratings. And so this week, I want to switch it up and also give it 7, what I like to call double A's out of 10.
Oh, yeah, double A's, right? What, double A's?
Animated anticlimaxes. I always talk about how the animated shows, Star Wars shows, just don't connect with me. They're just not for me. It doesn't mean they're not good. It's just I've never connected with them. And one of the reasons why I never connect with them is because you have these villains, these squabbling inquisitors who just don't excite me as villains. And also, problems get solved relatively easily. If a character is captured, the escape of that capture, the rescue of that capture can be relatively easy. And so I thought this episode really was like the animated show. Now, Catfish, we put out these polls after episodes come out, and we always say, this is just a short look. It's a small voting pool of people who are following us on Twitter. And so this Part 4, we put out a poll. We only got 44 votes, but it is very fascinating to see how this episode split the fandom. There is 32% of the respondents called the episode great.
Oh.
While 39% called it poor.
Whoa.
And then the 14% called it good, 16% called it fair. It feels like you and I are in the good to fair range while we have these extremes. We have the great group, the 32% of the people who said this episode was great. And I want to know, listeners, write to us at PHQ on Twitter. You can write to us on Instagram. You can leave Facebook comments, facebook.com/PHQ. You can go to YouTube, leave YouTube comments. For those of you who voted great and loved part 4, do you love the animated shows? Because to me, even though I just thought it was an okay episode, to me, it really was like a live action animated episode. And then for the group that voted it as a poor episode, also leave us these comments. Do you like the animated shows? This is a guess. I have no idea, but I would guess that people who really like the animated shows sees a very similar type of adventure in live action. They probably thought it was great. People who aren't familiar with the Inquisitors from the animated shows and other things may watch this and think this was a poor episode. So,
I mean, it really feels, Bubba, like they kind of, I knew this episode was going to be down after last week's because we had that great confrontation. They really kind of split the baby here. I mean, Obi-Wan, in reality, Obi-Wan got his groove back. Like only half of his groove really is back. If his full groove was back, he could have, really taken out a lot more. And, like I said, the situation hasn't changed that much for little Leia. Even Reva's like, do you understand, Darth, my master plan? It does feel like, Bubba, though, I can understand why people are thinking, it's not like they're giving us 10 episodes, so there could be filler. We're only getting 6 episodes, so it really feels like there shouldn't be. This is kind of like a placeholder transition episode.
Well, Catfish, you have set up our first discussion point before we even get into the episode.
Oh, what? Okay.
You say they're only giving us 6 episodes. Well, hold on to your horses. Rumor site Making Star Wars, which has been getting a lot of these rumors correct, they claim that Obi-Wan Kenobi, which was supposed to be a limited 6-episode event, is actually going to have a second season, and it's been greenlit. And I'll read you a bit of their report, which said, apparently the preliminary numbers for the show were so promising, and we've seen those reports everywhere, that like this was the most watched show in Disney Plus history, which of course makes sense. They're a new streaming service. They always have more subscribers than they used to, so it should have the most viewers of any show. But this one just apparently blew him out of the water. And so Ewan McGregor, at Celebration, he was already teasing that there might be a second season. And then when the show launched there at the same time as Star Wars Celebration, it was just a powerhouse, breaking records for the streaming platform. And so he heard, this person making Star Wars, they heard it from their sources that Kenobi 2 is going to happen. But one thing they said about it is that to make a second season possible, they actually had to change the ending of these 6 episodes to leave open the ability to explore remaining story potential. So,
I mean, it feels like we've seen that before. I mean, there was something we talked about recently, wasn't it? I mean, unless my mind is crazy, that we thought, I think they probably went back and changed the end of that so that they could go on.
Yeah, no, it feels like it happens a lot when a show is a big success. I remember Big Little Lies was based on a novel I actually read. HBO put it out. It got great numbers, got them all sorts of Emmy nominations. And suddenly, even though they got to the end of the novel and the story was over, they're like, this limited series has become a little less limited by having a second season. And so a lot of shows seem to be doing this.
Yeah. Now, in that case, that was they clearly made a mistake by the fact that there will be no Big Little Lies season 3.
The original story was written to be an ending, to be like, okay, that's the end. And the series got to that point and showed the ending. And so then you suddenly are like, well, wait a minute, why would these people go through such a similar situation? And so it becomes awkward.
There are shows that I found that very satisfying with. I mean, Russian Doll, I thought was very good. Mm-hmm. They really had to do a lot of work for the second season, which I haven't even finished yet, which is just not as good as the first season. Shining Girls, which I just finished on Apple Plus. I can't imagine. I don't even know how they would do a second season of that. I really enjoyed that. So, I mean, there are, you can tie these things up. You don't have to, I don't know. It's hard to find something new for sure. And when you've invested all the time and money, sure, you want to kick it again. But
listeners, we want to know what you think. Are you, we know you were split on this episode, but ignore that. Do you want a second season? write to us and let us know at PHQ on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook.com/PHQ, YouTube, leave those comments. And we say, hey, who cares what we think? We want to know what you think. And in today's feedback section, we're going to get to later on in the podcast, we have some people who we were so high on episode 3. We have some people who are really, really down on part 3, and we want to hear from them. We want to hear from you. And so we'll read that feedback once we get to it. But now,
my brother-in-law, Tennessee, that's what I'm going to call him, Tennessee Tuxedo. This is his favorite Star Wars show on Disney Plus.
Wow, more than The Mandalorian. Heck yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that's why, he's wrong a lot.
No,
but there you go.
Hey, now, once again, we want to hear from you, and we're going to go over some feedback that is on both extremes. People who've been loving, people who've really had trouble with stuff. But hey, first, let's dive in. Catfish, let me tell you something.
Tell me.
I want you to ask your doctor if Bacta Baths are right for you. Side effects include dreaming about traumatic events, which may or may not have bearing on current events. Also known as the previously on syndrome.
That sounds better than all the other side effects of the drugs I hear about on television, but I will gladly take that every time.
Well, how about this? So we know what Boba Fett dreams about when he has a Bacta Bath. We know what Obi-Wan dreams about when he has a Bacta Bath. What do you think my soon-to-be favorite character, the fifth brother, dreams about when he's in a Bacta Bath?
The third brother, he dreams of the fifth sister upsetting Darth for the last time.
No, I think he dreams about, like, I was sitting in my office all day doing nothing, waiting for a time when I could come out and complain.
Yeah, but sit in his office, you mean, aka sit in the makeup chair for 3 hours.
Right, exactly. Or how about this? What do you think? How about this? What do you think? What do you think Reva thinks about in her Bacta Bath?
Oh man, that is good. Well, clearly she's coming up with increasingly more convoluted plans.
Right, that's what it is.
Now wait, what if I throw in a double switch here, and then here we've got the triple switcheroo?
Awesome. Leia in her Bacta Bath. She comes back, she's having a dream. She's like, what is this, a staring contest? Oh man, I could do so much better.
Yeah. Well, what happens is it's what happened in her Bacta Bath. It's you, Bubba, and you are an improv teacher, and you're like, new choice.
Oh no, hey.
New choice.
No, hey, listen, we're teasing how everybody has a flashback to traumatic events in their Bacta Bath, but the mirroring. I think this episode was just fine. Wasn't a great one for me. Wasn't a terrible one for me. But it does have little moments that you're like, oh, wow, what a smart idea. And so the mirroring of Obi-Wan in his Bacta Bath, his Bacta tank trying to heal with Anakin in his, I thought that was a great mirroring of how these guys, even when they're apart, they're kind of tied together some way.
Absolutely. Although, clearly, I think Boba is a good advertisement for Bacta Baths. I'm not sure that Darth Vader is.
Right. He needs to check that that's not just plain water.
Right. 30 years of Bacta Baths, and he still ends up not looking very good.
No. We always joked about Boba Fett. We didn't get off planet at all. Well, here, we get off planet and we visit Jabim.
Hey.
Home of the Path with... you would assume the formations of the rebellion right here. We've got leader Roken, female pilot Sully, and that unforgettable scamp Wade.
He gone.
He did? Oh yeah, Wade's gone.
Yeah, he gone. Yeah. And
what do you think of this new planet? We barely saw any of it. We really just saw a cave. What do you think?
Well, I feel like there's a lot of bats on this planet.
Right.
What if the planet is all cave?
The all cave planet? Okay, now that is a good idea. Like, you can't be on the surface. There's no oxygen. It's terrible. Right. You got to spend the whole time down in the cave. I like that. I think it's a good idea.
Maybe they've just figured it out. Maybe their planet is also a desert planet, but they're like, this is bullshit. Let's go down where it's cooler.
Right.
And not so damn bright.
They're like, listen, Boba Fett had to dig in sand for these little things that had some water and liquid in them. Why don't we just live down where the things are with water and liquid in them?
Perfect.
Now,
And there's like little
meanwhile,
toads you can lick and have like a little acid trips. It's all good.
Obi-Wan, he's having these visions. He bursts out of his Bacta tank. Tala is there. She's like, dude, you got to heal. And he's like, no, no, no. Where's Leia? We cut to where Leia is. Fortress Inquisitoris. And we see that she is very much in deep trouble, except she's a precocious kid. So she's not in much deep trouble at all. In fact, she's trash talking.
She is. My father's a senator. I'm a princess of Alderaan. I mean, I don't understand, Bubba. I mean, is there something verboten in Disney shows with just like giving a backhand to a kid? Just a little whoosh. How's that? Bubba, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
So Reva really thinks Leia knows something? She's like asking her questions. She's gonna like supposedly torture her. Again, unless you believe this is all part of her master plan, when she tries to convince Vader of. Would you think a 6-year-old girl would know everything?
Well, how about this? She
Yeah.
knows the kid was in the room with all those etchings, was in the safe house, was in the Underground Railroad for Jedi. I mean, she knows that Leia was in that room. And so any information would be good. You're right. She's acting like Leia. You must know everything. Give me the GPS coordinates, sure. But she at least does know, Leia, you are around these people. Leia has to know something. And so you're right. She's quizzing her a bit tough. And also using odd tactics with a little girl. Maybe, with a little girl, maybe you think, oh, here's a piece of candy. You want a candy, kid? Tell me the right thing. She's not using sugar. She's using the stick.
Yeah, she just didn't use a hard enough stick.
And the stick includes Obi-Wan is dead. No one's coming for you. So she's trying to give this kid, no hope. And it doesn't really work because Leia is very strong. Even at a young age, she's strong. But Reva's tactics don't seem to work at all.
Well, I have to say, once again, I've justly critiqued the dialogue of Leia, but the girl does an amazing job in the scene of being tough and then being afraid.
Vulnerable, yeah, because, Obi-Wan's dead. Nobody's coming. Uh-oh. Well, okay, let's go back and talk about my new favorite character. And I don't mean Wade, but instead we meet Roken, the seemingly leader here of the path on Jabim. And so I called him Whiplash Roken. And so let's talk about Roken. So Roken, almost as soon as we meet him, he's like, Obi-Wan, I don't want you here. You've got the most heat as the most wanted Jedi in the galaxy. You're risking everybody. Obi-Wan, someone very important to me has been taken. I need to get her back. Not my problem. Get out of here. Leave. I'll risk everything for you. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Roken, listen, we're going to get pizza for the office lunch. What do you? No, I've had pizza 5 times a week. I will not have any more pizza. Make mine a pepperoni. What? Roken.
This is one of the things you were talking about. I mean, they couldn't even wait like 30 seconds for the guy to have a big change of heart. So it just really made very little sense.
Well, he has an interesting story that, you're always like, oh, that's an interesting story.
So you say.
He's somebody who fell in love, married somebody who was Force sensitive. They tried to hide it. The Empire found her. So you understand his motivation of why he's in this. But if you're going to have him whiplash and suddenly switch from, position A to the exact opposite position in under 3 minutes, that's kind of tough to pull off for anybody.
Yeah. Well, you know what else is tough to pull off?
What?
Obi-Wan's Force use. Very tough to part off. He's trying to use it. He's used it already. I don't know, Bubba. Are you even buying this? Like, we know he's gonna. It's as much force as he needs is gonna come up when he does. I mean, usually we know the hero is gonna succeed anyway, but it seems even particularly like less. I'm like, all right, move on. He'll have it when he needs it.
Well, I think it's fine that he's struggling. We're talking about when he gets on Tala's ship and they're going to Nur, they're going to Fortress Fortress Inquisitoris, and he's trying to pull an object with him to the Force, and he can't do it. And so that is a good way to show he's kind of broken. And maybe he's even worse than he was because of the traumatic events his reunion with Anakin/Vader in the previous episode had on him. But you're right. If he's going to be that rough, what would it take? What's it going to take to turn him around? We mentioned that he's got his groove back this week. What do you think could be the motivation to get the groove back? It certainly can't be anger or fear. Those are Sith traits. So what would it take to get somebody out of a stupor?
I mean, I feel
Alcohol?
like we've how about the very newly available Jack and Coke in a can?
Oh man. Okay, yeah, that he's like, shake it up. I feel the Force in my midi-chlorians.
I mean, I feel like it's already happened. It's already happened twice. It is, he's grown more and more attached to Leia, and every time she's in danger, he's able to summon the Force. It's
So
already
he's
happened twice.
So he's like, I need to defeat Vader again. Leia, come here. I'm going to push you down these stairs. What? Oh, Leia's in trouble. I can feel the Force is surrounding me. Yes. Well, yeah.
Bubba, I think you might be leaning more to the dark side with your example, but sure, something like that.
We're going to break Leia out. We're going to go get her. We're going to go rescue her again for the second time in 4 episodes. We're going to rescue Leia from being kidnapped. And so Tala, I'm being a bit tough and silly in my critique, but I want to say Tala is the only smart character on this show. Like, she does a lot of smart thinking in this episode to get into a place where she's not supposed to be, to use her credentials to help Obi-Wan, to help this rescue happen.
My favorite smart thing that Tala did was let Leia go by herself.
Okay. Come on. Come on. So, but even Tala, who I'm going to praise throughout this episode, like when she gets past, she's being stopped in Fortress Inquisitoris, and they're saying, hey, you're not supposed to be here. And she comes up with her excuse to get in. But even she slips up a bit where this guard is trying to not let her in. And she says, perhaps I shall just inform the Grand Inquisitor of your insolence. And that seems to scare the guard, and he lets her in. But of course, doesn't everybody think the Grand Inquisitor is dead? He died back in episode 2. He got a lightsaber through the gut.
You know what? This is your mistake, Bubba, because you think that Grand Inquisitor is a person when I say it's just kind of a feeling.
Right. A feeling in your gut where the lightsaber went through it.
Right. So she pulls some tough stuff on him here where she's like, do you know what classified means? Right. And Bubba, I thought we could workshop some, because he really felt like you could say anything after that. But I don't know whether you can really steamroll over these guys. You know what I'm saying?
I'll play Tala. Okay. You play this blue collar working security.
Yeah. Blue collar. There we go. All right. Here we go.
Do you know what classified means?
Yeah, I do. Do you?
Do you know what classified means?
I do know that it means you don't have to be a bitch to me.
You'll call me sir. Do you see these stripes? Okay, how about this? Here, let me try one more time, and then we'll switch roles. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what classified means?
Well, Webster's dictionary defines classified as Vader force joke.
Valedictorian speech from hell. All right, let's switch roles. You be Tala.
Okay, let's do it. All right. Do you know what classified means?
Of course. I'm not as stupid as a damn stormtrooper. Hey, I heard that. That hurts my feeling.
Oh, go take a swim in the lake.
Hey, listeners, let us know if you liked Tala's smart thinking in this episode. I liked it, even if I tease her about the Grand Inquisitores. But hey, here's the plan. We're going to break Leia out of prison. Obi-Wan, in a scene filmed at a local community college there in South Los Angeles, in their swimming pool, Obi-Wan swims in, and we're going to keep track of this. He kills his first stormtrooper once he gets into the base, and he throws that stormtrooper back in the water. Oh, one dead.
Yeah, and so he's like, wait a second here. You know, there's a good way to get rid of stormtroopers. Drown them. And you know what? He is, however, very able, at least here at the beginning,
okay,
to avoid this seeker droid. And so I thought, there's a good reason they're called seeker droids and not finder droids. Because what were they doing? It was just a waste. And in
Right. If I
fact,
can't see him in the window, nobody's there.
the seeker droid, I mean, basically only triggers where there's a shitload of stuff on this in front of him. You know what I mean? It must be set to, like when you have motion
Oh, yeah.
sensors in your house,
Oh,
but
yeah. You got too many alerts. You're like, good
well,
grief.
you gotta
All these false alerts. I don't
you got to
care.
turn them on so that the dogs don't turn them on. So basically, this is just sorry. I won't alert on anything that's less than 3 people.
Right. Listen, no Jedi, out of sight, out of mind. That's what the seeker droid thinks. But then, hey, we have this classic situation where we have Obi-Wan and Tala speaking on back and forth on their little comm links, and somebody catches Tala, hey, you're not supposed to be sitting here. And so she has to kill the terminal officer. So that's our second dead person in this Disney Plus episode. I love it.
I do. I love it too. These are just warm ups.
They are. Down in the interrogation room, Reva is still trying to break through. The only person that can save you now, Leia, is you. We're all on the same side. And then Leia, once again, I think she has some great moments. I love when they show her being smart. She says, well, I'll have to tell my father first, but it's okay, right? We're all on the same side. Love it, Leia. You go, girl. Hell yeah.
I love it too. Leia's got her snappy dialogue crackling.
But hey, Obi-Wan, he thinks he's found the top security place. And what does he stumble into? It seems like, are these Jedi? Are these just Force-sensitive people? They're in stasis. They have been zapped by the evil Empire. Is this a plot line that maybe we'll see in season 2? Whoa, what is going on here? The Empire, it doesn't just slaughter Jedi. It might actually hold on to them for their delicious midi-chlorians.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that because I was like, what is going on here? Why are these people captured like trophies and put in a secure area? So now that you've explained it, Bubba, it makes complete sense to me.
Well, we don't really know. Maybe once again, this is either
No, this is the way it has to be.
Okay.
This is the way it is.
This is the way.
I
or
have
the path.
spoken.
You have spoken. Now, Catfish, last week on the podcast, we were joking about all the times the Princess Leia has been captured by villains and then, of course, freed. But you know what? This happens all the time. So I thought, let's have a quick sidebar here in the episode.
Okay, sidebar.
And let's talk about what was the best capture / escape in a Star Wars story movie,
Wow.
what have you. So, okay, I'm going to throw out a bunch. So in The Phantom Menace, Queen Amidala, right at the very beginning, is captured by those battle droids in the Trade Federation, and she gets saved by Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan. So that's one time. In Attack of the Clones, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Amidala, they are trapped in the Geonosis arena, but the Jedi come in and they escape that predicament. In Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Palpatine, right at the beginning of the movie, they're captured by General Grievous. Oh, I need some lightsabers for my collection. Oh, that was a really terrible General Grievous impersonation. But they escape from that. In Solo, a Star Wars story, Han Solo very briefly has been captured by Dryden Voss. He escapes. In Rogue One, very briefly, Jyn Erso's in prison and K2SO breaks her out of prison. In A New Hope, we mentioned Leia is captured on the Death Star. She gets freed and escape. In Empire Strikes Back, Leia, Chewie, and 3PO are captured by the Empire. They use Lando to escape. In Return of the Jedi, the heroes are captured by Jabba. They escape. They're captured by the Ewoks. They escape. In The Force Awakens, Rey is captured by Kylo Ren. She escapes on her own by touching into her Force powers. In The Last Jedi, Finn and Rose are captured by the First Order. They escape with some help from BB-8. And in Rise of Skywalker, Chewie is captured by the First Order. And of course, he escapes as well. Boy, I probably have not mentioned all of them, but do you have a favorite capture and or escape in a Star Wars, Catfish?
My favorite one is when Boba Fett was freed from the responsibility of carrying his own TV show by the Mandalorian.
Terrible.
He was saved by the Mandalorian. His show was saved.
Well,
what about you, Bubba? What's your favorite one?
Well, you're going to say the Mando. You know, how many times has Grogu been captured and rescued? At least once, right? looking at this list, I think if you're going to have somebody, if you're going to have your heroes captured, then escape, like all the things do have to happen. So in A New Hope, we found out that, okay, Princess Leia at the end of all their adventures says, no, the Empire let us escape. And Han Solo's like, are you kidding me? But of course, the Empire did let them escape so they could find their way. But they lost Ben Kenobi, Obi-Wan. So they did pay a price. They did have to go through a lot of things to get out of that Death Star. I think The Empire Strikes Back, Lando flipping sides and helping them escape is a great way to escape like that. So those are the two that immediately come to mind. I honestly think I'm maybe too big of a fan of The Force Awakens, but Rey using her Jedi powers and then mind tricking the stormtroopers to letting her go, I think that's really smart escape. So those are some of my favorites. Listeners, at Double PHQ on Twitter and Instagram, what is your favorite Star Wars escape? Let us know.
I love it.
So, hey, Leia hasn't been freed yet, and Reva is sick of it, Catfish, and it's time for torture. It's torture time. What do you think about this? This is a little kid getting tortured. What is Reva really thinking here?
I have no idea what she's well, I mean, I can think of one thing she's thinking of, and that is she's grasping at straws and knows that she could possibly be gasping for breath if she doesn't get this taken care of. She's been warned very explicitly by Darth Vader, who, boy, I tell you, when he shows up, you better have your bunk made and your stuff squared in your locker. You don't want that. It still does feel, I've said it before, once you think of all this stuff she's doing and then she's like, that was my plan. The more I think about it, the more I think that was just a desperate attempt. She's like, all right, well, I'll bug. I just don't see how that would be her plan along with torturing a small girl.
Well, how about this? If your thought is just by releasing her, you'll use this tracker to find the path and find all these Jedi, then why make it so difficult for her to be rescued? Why not, let her think she got to escape on her own? Whoops. Oh, she got away from me. Oh, you smart little kid.
Yeah, it really doesn't feel like they are going that. This was set up again. Once again, I'm just saying I think Reva retconned her plan at the end because I guess she wouldn't think that Obi-Wan would come. I mean, the trap before made more sense.
Right.
This one doesn't because you're like, he wouldn't be stupid enough to come here. And if you really thought he was coming here, just hold on to Leia.
Exactly right. Well, we're gonna get to that point in a bit. Tala, who once again I think displays the smartest smarts in this episode, she comes out and says, "Hey, Obi-Wan asks Tala for a distraction. She makes one. Obi-Wan goes in, he gets Leia. Lightsaber is out. 2 more dead stormtroopers. That gets us to 4. What do you think about these stormtroopers, Catfish?
I'm going to explain this way. If you watch the films in order now by episode, it's going to be strange because you're going to be like, the first 3 episodes have better effects than the next 3 episodes. That's kind of strange. But what's consistent throughout the entirety of the series is that stormtroopers are just fodder. It's basically when people come to your planet to recruit stormtroopers, you hide the good kids.
Instead of best and brightest, it's least and lightest.
Yeah.
Okay, so hey, Tala has been captured because Reva said, hey, take her prisoner. Then Tala has to kill 2 more stormtroopers. That gets us to 6 dead people. Obi-Wan is running out with Leia. He kills 2 more.
Oh my God!
And
one of the stormtroopers. Again, their cardinal rule should be at least do no harm to your own side. But one of them takes out the seeker droid. You go, stormtroopers. They're the idiot children of the universe.
Hey now. So there's another dead stormtrooper. 2 more dead with deflected blaster bolts. Then 2 more dead. Let me see how many we got to. 4, 6, 8, 9, 11, 13 dead so far. And that's when the window starts to crack. And Ben, the window. And here it is. Jedi plumber stops leaks fast. So, Catfish, what is more effective? Flex tape or Obi-Wan at stopping leaks? What do you think?
Definitely flex tape. But that would be my answer, at least at this point, flex tape.
Look at it, Flex Seal. I've put all of Fortress Inquisitorius with screen doors, but then you put Flex Seal on them. No water gets in. But then, hey, Obi-Wan releases the cracks. We have 7 drowned stormtroopers. That gets us to, 20 dead stormtroopers already. Hell yeah. At this point, you know what? I should give this episode a 10 out of 10 because Obi-Wan finally puts on a darn disguise. Thank you. Thank you, Obi-Wan.
Congratulations, Obi-Wan.
But this is really the moment that the episode goes to 10 out of 10 because look who shows up. Fifth brother, who's been in this Fortress Inquisitorius apparently the whole time and decided to do nothing. And when he comes out and shows his face, what's he going to do? He starts moaning about the third sister again.
Hell yes.
Alarms are going off. The third sister will pay. Yeah, okay, thanks, buddy. Obi-Wan has made it to the hangar. Reva has tracked him down. It looks bad for our heroes when suddenly, who shows up? Sully and the other person, Wade. They show up. And then I had just had to guess. There are about 50 stormtroopers, it looks like, approximately on this loading bay. And they all pretty much get blown up real good, either by Sully and Wade shooting them in the ships or Obi-Wan and Tala hitting them with blasters. So what's that gets us to? About 70 dead human beings on this Disney Plus show. Good work, Star Wars.
Way to go, Disney. Well, but it's not just 70 human beings.
No.
It's 71.
What?
That's right, because Wade, he's going to protect Sully. I got this. And Reva's like, he gone. R.I.P. Wade.
Oh, man. Wade, we hardly cared ye. I mean, so poor Wade. Wade apparently even had a last name in the credits. Wade Russillian. Oh, I love it.
Oh.
Wade. But I also say, hey, once again, I'm coming across harsher on this episode than I really am. But I want to give, hey, Reva, I've been so tough on her. That's a good kill where like, hey, this guy's flying away in a ship. I don't have a spaceship to hit him with a blaster. I'll just pick this random crate up and smash his ship with it. Good work, Reva. I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you didn't care for that for Wade's demise. I thought it was a good demise.
That's all right. Wade, he went out the way he came in, head first.
Okay, sure. Hey, you know what? I want to get to a point, and I've kind of said it a bunch of times, but I've been thinking why Reva hasn't been connecting with me. Listeners, I hope she's connecting with you. I hope you guys are loving her and loving these Inquisitors. Like I always mention, I have trouble with them in the animated shows. And one of the things I've mentioned on all these podcasts is that at least until this episode, Reva actually does have smart plans, but the show isn't allowing her to kind of get credit for them. So in the very first episode, Princess Leia is kidnapped by Flea. But at the end of the episode, it's revealed that this is Reva's plan all along. And to me, it just doesn't give her enough credit. So imagine if that first episode either A, showed Reva planning and saying, these Jedi we're getting are just, the low-level Jedis. I want to catch a big fish. How can I catch Kenobi? I know. He was friends with Bail Organa. Like, what if we knew her plan ahead of time, and that way we could get credit for it succeeding?
Well, then it would have been spoiled what happened because we do think that it has to do with Leia when really it had to do with Ben.
Right. But then there's another way TV shows do this. In Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad did this all the time. You would see somebody working on a plan, but you wouldn't know what it was. It's like, so Reva's doing something, but you're like, what is she up to? And then at the end of the episode, she reveals, oh, what I was up to was this kidnapping of Leia. That would also give her a bit of credit for it. But again, as you're saying, you're losing that reveal. But I think that reveal hasn't helped her character too much. Similarly, in this episode, she's talking about how when she was a little girl, she had a droid, but it was taken away from her. That feels like it's setting up a reveal about, hey, maybe she was one of those girls in the Jedi Temple. And that's why she's saying things like, oh, those people won't protect you, meaning the Jedi, they didn't protect her. But it feels like once we get to that point, the reveal about it, it won't be that big. And so similarly here, if we really believe that the reveal is, you know what, I let him escape because I placed a tracker in the Lola droid that will always be with Princess Leia. Like you said, it feels like a retcon, and it also contradicts things. Reva says in this episode, she says, Obi-Wan is the only thing that matters. Yeah, but you just let Obi-Wan escape because you want to find the path and the way to the other Jedi. So wait a minute, is Obi-Wan the only thing that matters? And so again, I don't have a problem with the actress. I think she's fine. I have a problem with this character being too much like an animated Inquisitor, I guess, and not being revealed as being cunning or smart, even though I think they are trying to get that across, and it's just not working for me. I've gone a little bit of this. Catfish, what do you think? What do you think?
I mean, I've been hitting it. I've been hitting it all episode about how, it doesn't feel like the show is trying to sell us that like she's just making this up now, that really this was her master plan. But if it really was a master plan, it's the most insane master plan to think about. It's just, yeah. It does seem, if you think this is her master plan, that she keeps changing what her end goal is, which is strange and not helpful with her boss.
No. I was going to say Star Wars has had ridiculous plans before. All the funny videos people have put online trying to explain what exactly Luke's plan to escape Jabba was. So his plan was to have Princess Leia pretend to be a bounty hunter and hand over Chewie to Jabba, because therefore she could get in and then escape. But then wasn't Chewie down in a jail? I mean, and then he's supposed to get captured, and he gets captured because his lightsaber's actually in R2, and he had given up R2 earlier. So Star Wars has done ridiculous plans before, but a lot of times we're supposed to be so swept up in the moment that we don't catch on to, oh, this plan doesn't make sense. And maybe if this was a movie like originally planned, we wouldn't have time to think about, wait, Reva, what is your plan? And so, yeah,
I agree.
Well, okay. Hey, I feel like we were both a bit tough in our description, but we're really just light and having fun. We gave it 7 out of 10. Listeners, we want to know what you think. We're going to read some of your feedback. Admittedly, most of the feedback we're going to read is about how you felt about part 3. But please write to us and let us know how you felt about part 4 at double PHQ. That's the word double, the single letter P for podcast, HQ for headquarters, at double PHQ on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.com/double PHQ, YouTube. Leave those comments. We're going to read a bunch in a bit. But first, Catfish, what do we have for our loyal listeners?
Well, first we have our Bounty Hunter Guild battle. Who wins the puck? Every week we have a debate about a question, and every week either I win based on the viewers, or sometimes Bubba even admits, yeah, you crushed me, I won. So this week's is, what is the best way? And as I say this, I almost think maybe we talked about this before, so loyal listeners could tell us, but we're either litigating this, relitigating this.
Yep.
What is the best way to be killed by Darth Vader?
Oh, man. Okay. So the very first kill, chronologically, not in film order, but the very first kill we saw of Darth Vader was when he physically picked the guy up with his hand, and with one hand he's lifting the guy up by his neck and then crushes his neck. If you're gonna go, having Vader do it, not even with the Force, but he's so kind of lazy, he's like, I don't want to use my Force powers, I'll just crush him with my hand. That's a good way to go. I mean, being crushed with your neck and getting your neck snapped and all that, that's pretty bad. But him doing it personally, that is the first one that came to mind. So I'm going to take the personal touch Vader joke.
All right. And I am going to say that why you're completely wrong is that anybody, I mean Chewie, and I mean Han, I mean maybe even little Leia, if she had enough time and you were held down, could crush someone's neck. To have, it's exactly as you said, with their hands. It's exactly as you said, is that to have Darth actually show off his impressive powers just to snuff off your life, I mean, that goes on your tomb. Force choked by Vader. Hashtag
Hold on.
winning.
Did you see Empire Strikes Back? He was force choking people to death over Zoom. That is a bad way to go. I want him there in the room. I want to be in the room
hold
where
on.
it happens.
Yeah, in the room,
Yeah.
but
Uh-huh.
he looks you dead in the eye and just
Okay.
gives you this.
What if,
With the
as I'm
hand
being
out.
choked, I go, now I understand why you're so pissed.
What if, when he's doing it, you start just gasping out your safe word? Hippopotamus! Hippopotamus, Darth!
Oh, boy. Okay.
All right,
Really?
so let's, our loyal listeners,
Loyal
how would
listeners.
you rather, if you can go with another option,
Oh, you
the
could be
two we've,
sliced. What about the guy? How about this? Hold on.
No, you've already made your choice.
No, I'm going to pitch one for the listeners. Listeners,
Okay.
what if you're that one guy in Rogue One where,
Uh-huh.
yes, you get sliced in half by Vader's lightsaber, but remember, he force lifts you up to the ceiling. So you get a brief moment of flying. You get to feel what it's like to fly as you're lifted up to the ceiling, and then he drives his lightsaber through your gut. And then you probably are alive for a little bit as you fall. So that might be a fun way as well.
Oh, yeah, and you get two different views of the floor. All
It's like
right.
when you go to iFly and you're like, wee.
Yeah. All right. So, loyal listeners, chip in on that. Is Bubba right?
Yes.
Vader getting his hands dirty. Is Catfish right?
No.
Vader using his powers to do it. Or a third option, being treated as like sushi by Darth Vader. That is your third option. Now, Bubba,
Yeah.
there was very few. I find this show particularly less quippy than the other Disney Plus shows we've covered.
I
And
agree.
every week we have to do the Mandolicious line of the episode, and that is the line that tickled us the most.
Yep.
And some of these have explanations. I did like. I need your help. And then the response was, so does every kid from here to Coruscant making a rock float. Now,
No,
at first
that's
I was
good.
wondering
That's
why, honest to God, Bubba, I thought, why is there a parade of floats made of rocks? And why is this guy the expert?
Come on.
That was it. I also picked Leia's Is This a Staring Contest? That is funny.
Snap.
I noted the line, the braver you seem, Reva says it's to Leia, the braver you seem, the more afraid you are. But that seems like a rhetorical trap. So then if Leia's like, starts crying, she's like, aha, see, you are more afraid. And then Leia stops crying and she's like, ah, you're being brave, you're more afraid. I mean, it feels like that's a no-win situation.
Vicious circle.
And then when Reva says you did this to yourself, I called that out. Hashtag victim blaming. Did not like that. And then Bubba, you had one to pitch.
Yeah, I have almost done a 180. I hear people online who get frustrated with Leia a bit like we do. I've heard people online really get frustrated with Reva, but I was the only one getting frustrated with Fifth Brother. Like, why does this character exist? He's literally done absolutely nothing the whole time except complain about Reva, and he does nothing.
And interfere with her plans when she's about to succeed.
But now I flip the script. It's like he does nothing so much. It's become my most enjoyable part of the show. So as the hangar is getting blown up, as I mentioned, 50 dead stormtroopers everywhere. Everybody's dead except Reva. Fifth Brother runs up and yells, "Destroy them!" I'm like, who are you talking to? Everybody's dead. Why about you do something? Is your idea to give orders? And if your idea is to give orders, how about remaining stormtroopers, get in the TIE fighters, chase them down, something constructive. But instead he just runs up and yells, "Destroy them." Dude, that's like somebody in a football stadium of 100,000 people yelling at the coach, "Score a touchdown."
Bubba, I'm
Fifth Brother is my new hero.
Completely swayed over to your side. Fifth Brother is the guy in the office who never loses his job, but you get all the work because your boss knows that Fifth Brother will just fuck it up. because
Exactly.
Because he's like, well, we can't give it to fifth brother. Well, then why do I get it? Why don't you fire fifth brother and get somebody else so I don't have to do all the dang work?
Fifth brother comes out in a meeting. Make copies. Load the PowerPoint. Fifth brother, can you throw us a bone here?
Oh my God, amazing. All right, and now we have just two more little bits left. But first of
man.
all, everyone loves it.
What?
We have got a double M, double M.
Wait, double M, double M?
Yeah, Matt Murdick's musical analysis.
Really? He gave us one of those, did he?
He did. He did.
You know
So
what?
let's.
I
Yeah.
think if you have a analysis, you really probably should ask your doctor about a Bacta Bath to get that taken care of.
Yeah.
It's a malignant
Analysis.
Double M, what do you got for us?
Hello there. Matt here. There wasn't much in the way of new thematic material in Part 4, but we did have some new applications of themes that we already knew, done in slightly different ways, variations to create different kinds of moods. And I'm not even really talking about the notes changing that much. Some of the changes that we heard were in what we call meter, the way that the beat is counted. And some of the changes were in harmony, meaning the kinds of notes that support the melody, that tend to dictate the way we feel about a situation. And at the same time, what we're learning is that a lot of the things that I just happened to glean from John Williams' original composition have panned out to be true. But it is in the way that Natalie does change things that helps dictate the nuance and the emotion of what those things mean. One of the things that really wasn't changed at all was in regards to my thoughts about how I had broken Ben's theme down into essentially two parts. The melody being the man, and a couple of other rhythmic motifs being the mission, all encompassed within John Williams' theme. This was exactly the case this week. If you remember back to my segment for Part 1 of this show, when I really broke down Williams' score and what I thought it meant, there was a particular motive that I said was in regards to the mission, but it was the forces working against the mission. Well, it sounds like this. And the place where we heard this most prominently, at least in my mind, was in that hallway underwater when Ben was trying to hold back the glass. It's very prominent there. Not only that, but the troops are trying to come in and shoot him at the same time, and you really hear that motive happen there. I can't think of any bigger forces working against the mission than a few stormtroopers and an ocean. So we've checked that box, but as I said, there wasn't really that much different there. Where some of the variations came was actually once they were back at the hangar, and once what I always associate as the snow speeders. I don't know the model name. I'm not smart like that. I don't retain that kind of information. But those little ships seem to be taking on things that are a lot bigger than them a lot. If you think back to Empire and the AT-AT walkers. And Natalie gave us Ben's theme, the main melody. But she did alter the theme in two different ways. One, she changed the harmony to where there were no major chords in it, like we discussed before, but rather it was all minor. Minor is darker. Minor is scarier sometimes. And so it makes perfect sense that the melody would be placed over a completely minor bed at that point, because we're supposed to feel like Obi-Wan is in danger, that Leia is in danger, like Tala is in danger. So rather than getting a part that resolves to major like this, all of the harmony stayed minor. And merely by shifting the chords from the original theme in a reverse order, she changed the entire meaning of the melody at that point. There's something else that she did to give a sense of urgency to us as to the peril that Obi-Wan and Leia and Tala were in. She changed the meter. When I normally play the theme the way Williams originally wrote it. It has much more of a 6/8 feel, that circular time that I talked about. But here, she uses 4/4, and she adds a specifically minor ostinato pattern, something that won't bend, and then she changes the bass notes around from what they usually are. So first you get this ostinato pattern on the top of it. That is counting in 4 as opposed to 6, and so that adds urgency. And we're also getting a pattern that cannot be confused for anything major at all. It's all in minor. And the end result, when you put all of that together, is this. So there you go. That's how you take a melody that we're already very familiar with in this series, and you give it different kinds of meanings by the way that you treat that melody. Oh, and one other quick note. Remember how we talked about that new kind of motif for Vader last week? Well, guess what? It showed up again, although it was really hard to hear. But as Darth Vader's coming in and he's charging our Inquisitors, and he starts to lift our Dark Sister into the air, what do you hear underneath? This. So enjoy the rest of the cast with Bubba and Catfish while I go pat myself on the back. Take care.
Oh, man. He is the best.
He is. That's why he gets 4 M's.
All 4. He deserved all 4. You can find Matt at Musical Concepts on Twitter. Hey, I kept mentioning we love your feedback, and this week we got a lot, but admittedly it's mostly about episode 3. So some people loved it. Let's hear from them first. We have our good buddy, a true Double L loyal listener, Joe Bear, who's at Joe Bear, just like it sounds on Twitter. He saw that 3rd episode. He saw what Obi-Wan got dragged through. So what did he send us? He just sent us a tweet of 3 fire emojis. Love it, Joe Bear. Thank you so much.
Love it. And Dooley's Left Legs, at Dooley's Left Legs, said this week episode 3 was great and a 9.82. He completely agrees.
Thank you so much, Dooley. I was just in London, Dooley. Oh, I was there for such a short time I didn't get to find him and hang out. But London, boy, what a fun city when it's relatively warm temperatures. I had a blast. Ooh, Double M may not like this next bit of feedback we got. It's from our buddy Patman23, Pat Spinagle, who actually talked almost more about our podcast. He wrote, really enjoyed listening to the podcast on my morning commute. He still has about 15 minutes left in the podcast, but he's writing us this feedback, which I'm sure will contain Catfish agreeing with my critical tweets about his Leia chatter from last time.
Sure.
Patman wrote, I particularly appreciate you pointing out that Star Wars canon has been stretched already, starting with Return of the Jedi. And we should all just enjoy the fun that we're getting out of the Kenobi show. Well, thank you so much, Patman. Patman, tell us what you think of episode 4, this one that seemingly does have very strong opinions on both sides.
All right, and Camille at Harley Camille says,
love Camille.
I think she was talking to you, Bubba, when she says you were a little harsh on little Leia. She was acting like Anakin from Clone Wars, sassy and undisciplined. And let me make this clear.
Okay.
I dislike all sassy and undisciplined children. I am not sexist when it comes to my dislike of bratty children.
Oh, so Anakin, if you watched the Clone Wars animated show, you would also be down on his sassy, undisciplined ways.
Yes, exactly.
You know, Camille, number one, she's a great Double L loyal listener.
Absolutely.
But I'm with you. She is sassy, and at a young age, she should be undisciplined. And it's just, for me, there are moments when I think it's absolutely great, and then there are other moments where I think it just doesn't work. But once again, this is not on the actor. When you're 10 and you're having to do the work she's doing a great job.
Yeah, and also the reason why it really comes out is just that her dialogue is written like a 30-year-old's wiseacre. That's
at
all.
At times.
Yeah, at times. So that's kind of where it got me started on that. Now, we have got some real good feedback from Elias Sideways. Said, oof, Leia needs to chill it. Maybe the most annoying kid character in a long time. There's a reason everyone likes Baby Yoda. He don't talk. Man, he says, oh man, this show is a total wreck.
Oh no.
Feels like a student fan fiction. The writing is atrocious. The editing is simply bad. That whole scene with Obi and Darthy, well, one scene they're facing each other within 5 to 10 meters away. Next, Obi is alone wandering around. Plus the inconsistency in that final altercation. Vader puts out the fire and trashes Obi around with force. Next, the fire's lit again, and Darthy forgets what he was able to do a minute ago. Bonus points for them trying to explain the escape by the stormtroopers, loudly exclaiming, "We can't get around the fire!" Bruh, that was a fire of a few square meters. If you're going to say
hold on,
Yeah.
Elias. Would it have been better if fifth brother had come out and suddenly yelled, "Put out the fire!
Run through the fire!" If you're going to say some fan theory like you let him go on purpose, that's some high midi-chlorian count of fan fiction that nothing in the scene supports. Anyway, It's fun to watch as it's really bad with Boba sucking and Obi tanking. I've got no big hopes for further Disney Plus Star Wars shows. Well, Mando 2.5 was still pretty great. Over and out. Shout out to the musical corner.
Oh man. Now let me say that I'm still high on last week's episode, on episode 3. I loved
big
it.
On that one.
Elias here, he didn't like it, but I love that Elias wrote. I love that Elias, and I even wrote to him to tell him. I said, "Thanks for still listening. I know it must be bizarre to listen to people praise something that you didn't connect with, but I loved it. I thought it was great." Elias was a bit frustrated that this week's podcast is out so late. Elias, that's totally on me. I was out of the country, as I was just mentioned again. Should have seen Dooley in London, but that means part 4 podcast was really late. So Elias, I love him. Now there's some other people who just started responding to us on Twitter, and I don't want to say I don't like their takes. Everybody's fine to do their takes, but some of these people, I think Elias doesn't like the show, but he wrote very fun, light-hearted take there. Some of these people, they're true haters. So one of them's a popular YouTuber.
I love it. Okay.
YouTuber Robert Meyer Burnett, who I actually like listening to on a lot of stuff, but I was talking to him about Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he wrote back to me on Twitter. He said, "As a filmmaker myself," now once again, I love Robert, so I don't want to say he's trying to sound pretentious, but that is a real pretentious opening statement.
Oh man, Robert, I got your back.
As a filmmaker myself, he said the entire Kenobi Vader fire scene was borderline offensive. It was more low budget and cringe than any bottle episode of the original Star Trek. Now,
Ding.
That's a rough take. Everybody's entitled to their take, but still, hey, as I wrote in a later tweet back to him, like, well, you're a filmmaker. It didn't work for you. Deborah Chow was the filmmaker on this. She made those choices, and in the end, the scene worked for me. There's no right or wrong here. So, Catfish, other people started joining in on this tweet thread. So do you want to read this next bit of feedback?
I do. Ali Goons, and I pronounce, if I mispronounce your name, I apologize. At Ali Goon 210-34222. You're 202. Whoa boy.
Yeah.
21,034,222nd favorite Ali Goon said, like Rob stated, the actual filmmaking craft that went into that end sequence in episode 3 was badly lit, clumsily directed, and underwhelming. And don't get me started on "you should have killed me when you had the chance" cliche dialogue.
I think, Ali, I agree with you. That is a cliche. But if the scene is working for you, and if you feel the emotional connection between Vader and Obi-Wan as I did, that quote unquote cliche line completely worked for me. Now, this last one, this guy, maybe I'm reading it in a way he doesn't intend me to read it. This last guy, I really thought, like, dude, get a grip. This is a light, fun show for kids and families that you wrote this to. So this next guy, his Twitter handle is HSM Johnston 4000. He wrote, "If you can't see the absolute shit writing for what it is, then you're obviously easily pleased. Obi-Wan Kenobi,
like the ladies I like.
Obi-Wan Kenobi is so childish in its storytelling, it's embarrassing.
Oh man,
It's a succession of events with convenient connections as opposed to clever plot development. So once again, I guess anybody's take is fine. I think the fact that you're trying to attack people who enjoy it is obviously easily pleased, and this storytelling is embarrassing.
Oof.
How about just don't watch the show if you feel that way? I mean, at a certain point,
There is a sense to hate watching, Bubba. There are shows I hate watching.
There is. That's true. So, hey, we did want to give everybody's opinion out there, even if we don't agree. Hey, we love feedback. That's what this is about. And so, hey, I've said it till I'm as green in the face as my favorite character, Fifth Brother, at Double PHQ on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook.com/Double PHQ, YouTube. Leave those comments. We love them.
And Bubba, how can people reach out to you?
Well, if you just want to yell at me, like these last three people did on Twitter, you can find me, Bubba, on Twitter at Fit and Trim. That's FITTENTRIM at Fit and Trim on Twitter.
Yes, and you can hit me up at CJGman67 on Twitter. And on Insta, you can get me up at G to the Man. That's GEETOTHEMAN. G to the Man. Oh my God, Bubba, we've only got 2 episodes left.
2 episodes left. Whoa.
And because we did this late, oh my God, for the people who are upset that it's late, just imagine how excited you'll be to be able to listen to 2 podcast episodes nearly back to back, because we will be back very shortly on the
Parsec Passion Podcast.
Man, I love that people are yelling at you.
Keep yelling.